Welcome to Impact News. You know, we bring you the news from all around the neighborhood and all around the world. We're going to start with my commentary because people want to know this. Why is Haiti so poor? Why is Haiti so poor? You know, you have to wonder that, right? Well, the New York Times expose tells the truth about what really happened to Haiti. You may know that Haiti was the first modern nation to win its independence after a slave uprising, but it has been shamefully financially burdened ever since by reparations demanded by the French government and present day by Wall Street and other bankers, and it's time for that mess to stop. First, Haiti ousted its French colonial rulers, only then to have to pay them hundreds of millions of dollars in reparations. That's kind of what they were paying for, to the former slave masters. Yes, you heard me correctly. You can call it a ransom. I call it rape, okay? All right, Haiti had already gotten its freedom and then had to turn around and pay for it. Ooh, these people are just terrible. And just when that money was almost paid off, here came Credit Industriel with a brand spanking new central bank for Haiti. Woohoo! That was a mirage. And it was really a way for French financiers to continue to strangle the Haitian economy. At the time, Credit Industriel et Commercial, CIC, was helping finance the Eiffel Tower as a monument to French liberty. So to get the money, they had to get the money from somewhere. To get the money, CIC raided Haiti, choked off its economy, taking most of its income and giving it back to investors in Paris. After Haiti's debts were deducted, Haiti's government, you're not going to believe this, Haiti's government was left with just 6 cents of every $3 collected. There's 6 cents on every $3 collected. That's what they were supposed to run a country on. Impossible, and it shows, okay? So what are the countries there at all? The way they raped that country. This happened because French elites controlled Haiti's national bank from Paris, and they left Haiti with no money for schools or for hospitals or for any of the foundational items that you need to have an independent country. It was so bad that by the early 20th century, half of the taxes of Haiti's coffee crop, which is its most important source of revenue by a long shot, half of that went to French investors at CIC and the National Bank. Today, Credit Industriel, known as CIC, is now a $355 billion company. It's a subsidiary of one of Europe's largest financial conglomerates. Now, Haiti, however, is perpetually stuck in crisis, with staggering illiteracy, $2 a day wages, hunger and disease, a country without public transportation, reliable electricity, garbage collection, or sewage systems. They ought to be shamed. If the wealth siphoned off by the French through Haiti's national bank stayed in the country, folks, it would have added at least $1.7 billion to Haiti's economy over the years. And guess what, folks? That's more than all of the government's revenues in 2021. So you know they needed the money. Haitians themselves were poor, but Haiti made a lot of people rich. So rich that in Britain, a British diplomat, Spencer St. John, wrote in 1884, and I quote, "No country possesses greater capabilities or a better geographical position or more variety of soil, of climate, or of production," unquote, and they took full advantage of it. The French were so scandalous, folks, that the CIC created National Bank in Haiti charged fees on nearly every transaction the Haitian government made. Yes, it did. French shareholders earned so much money in some years that their profits actually exceeded the Haitian government's entire public works budget for a country of 1.5 million people. And to cover their tracks, yes, they did, the French erased this story from history. Sound familiar? They're trying to do that here in the U.S. Their ledgers show no investments in Haitian businesses. That's tragic. In the 20th century, Haiti fell under U.S. control. Okay, we know that's a problem. Wall Street's financial interests played a role in the occupation. Haiti's new bank is now called the National Bank of the Republic of Haiti. France still has an interest in it, if you can imagine that, along with the National City Bank of New York, which ultimately became Citigroup, and we know how much money they have. And there is also the problem, and we have to talk about this as well, of some corrupt Haitian politicians, okay? It is a recurring figure in Haitian history. And this is how the New York Times put it, the self-serving member of Haitian society who prospers as his own country suffers, unquote. It must all stop. Haiti deserves its independence. It deserves to be free from the shackles of oppression financially from the United States, as well as from France and anybody else who's got their little paws in the kitty trying to take the money out. We are with you. We are behind you, Haiti, and we are for your real independence. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Carol Angela Davis back at you with your news and beginning with your headlines. Folks, if Republicans are so mad about rising gas prices, why are they voting against the bill to fix it? They're lying. Also, Republicans go to right-wing Hungary to meet and greet with other extreme racists. Plus, we have news of Florida. It's reflecting Ron DeSantis and his racist politics. Too bad the kids are being used as tools. Plus, Wells Fargo Bank proves once again that it's anti-minority and defeated Congressman Madison Cawthorne. Well, now there's an ethics investigation into even more issues. And then Washington, D.C. sues Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg. And we got more for you because we are bringing you the stories that you simply don't hear in many other places. And you got to know what's going on. Stay with me. Okay, I'm back at you with your news stories. You know, Republicans say that they're mad about record high gas prices. So why did they vote against the bill to stop price gouging at the gas pump? Talking out of both sides of their mouth, folks, because the cruelty is the point, folks. Okay, Republicans say making it illegal for oil companies to price gouge is socialism, something that's done in Russia, they say, not in America. Okay, and this is 1 week after they said, quote, "We really have to get these gas prices under control. They are such fakes and liars." If you vote for these people who talk out of both sides of your mouth, folks, you deserve everything you get, and you know it. The name of that bill, just so you know, H.R. 7688, it would have authorized the Federal Trade Commission to investigate whether or not oil and gas companies are price gouging consumers. It's called the Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act, and yes, the Republicans voted against it. Okay? Stop voting for them. All right, then let's go to overseas, where right-wing Hungarian leader Viktor Orban says the path to power is to have your own media. Well, I'll tell you, he's not wrong about that. Look at Rupert Murdoch. Clearly, it's working for Republicans because they work very closely with Rupert Murdoch and Fox News to tear down American democracy as quickly as they can. All right, now speaking to the CPAC conference, which is meeting in Hungary, it's our American Republicans meeting in Hungary. Viktor Orban suggested that it is time for the right to join forces and take back Washington, D.C. and Brussels, meaning the European Union. Journalists from international media, you should know, they were denied access to the event. That's what the authoritarians do. They denied journalism access because journalism tells you what's going on. They did not allow the New Yorker, Vox News, Vice News, Rolling Stone, and the Associated Press. None of them were allowed into the event. That is not good news. But guess what? The schedule did feature Candace Owens. You know her. She's about as crazy as a bedbug. Plus, and she's Trump's favorite influencer, of course. Also, it included messages from Zolt Bayer. He referred to Jewish people as, quote, stinking excrement, unquote. And he referred to use racist slurs for black people during the Black Lives Matter protest. This is who they champion. These people are so sick. Let's go to another sicko, Ron DeSantis, Florida, where discrimination is A-OK. Now a Florida school district, you should know, is promising a swift investigation after 6 middle school students are seen spelling out the N-word. Yes, they did, using handmade letters that are so large it covers their entire body. Folks, it happened at the Martin County School District. It's Hidden Oaks Middle School there in Palm City, which is about 100 miles north of Miami. Remember, these kids are 12 to 14 years old. They had no problem spelling out the N-word with big old letters on their bodies, knowing their parents would eventually see it. And that tells you all you need to know what's going on in those kids' households, okay? The district says it's appalled. We'll see what they do, all right? They all say they're appalled. The question is, what do they do? Public comments, you should know, at a Martin County School Board meeting included what we saw wasn't racism. It was beyond racism. It was terrorism. This is what's going on in our community. The Martin School District has 18,500 students, according to a report card from the Florida Department of Education in 2021. You should know that 6.3 are black, 54.6 are white, and 34% are Hispanic. That school's a disgrace. Move. Find a better home, find a better neighborhood. Why do you want to live around? These people are so inbred, folks, that they are just mean, nasty, and stupid. All right. Now, continuing its racist efforts to dilute the vote of black and brown residents in Arizona, now you should know that the redrawn is very serious. Arizona congressional map drains the Native American voting power. It's drained to nothing, folks. Tribal areas have been swept into a new majority Republican district that empowers a rural white majority to elect Republicans for the next 10 years. It is disgraceful. It is a tremendous loss of political power, once protected by the Voting Rights Act, which we all know Supreme Court Justice John Roberts did everything he could to destroy, and he has destroyed it and is destroying us in the process. We're fighting back, and we will win. Let's just start there. All right, most of the other Republican candidates' campaigns, they make no mention of the hard conditions that are facing Native Americans. None of their online campaign platforms mention the soaring unemployment amongst Native Americans, the poverty on tribal reservations, or the absence of high-paying jobs. The cruelty, folks, is the point, okay? Then Wells Fargo, I'm so sick of Wells. I am so sick of Wells Fargo Bank. It's always something with their little shenanigans, and it always seems to hurt black and brown people, okay? Now we learn that Wells Fargo interviewed black and female candidates for jobs that were already promised to another person. Sound familiar? Sounds like professional sports to me. All right, that is the word from a former employee who was involved in the hiring process and was fired for questioning Wells Fargo. That's right, folks. In a June, you remember this because this is some of the fallout. In a June 2020 memo to employees, Wells Fargo CEO Charles Scharf said the bank struggled to find qualified black candidates. I guess you struggled to find them. You mean struggled to hire them. You didn't hire them because you already promised the job to someone else. You didn't find them because you weren't looking for them, because if you found them, you weren't going to do anything with them anyway. We're not fooled. Wells Fargo is a joke. Don't forget that. All right, then the House Ethics Committee has launched a probe into Representative Madison Cawthorne, the Republican from North Carolina. Okay, the question, two questions. Here they go. All right, first of all, did he improperly promote a cryptocurrency called Let's Go Brandon and not disclose that he had a financial interest in it? Also, what about this? Did he have check this out. Did he have an improper relationship with a staff member employed in his congressional office? And the relationship apparently has something to do with alleged gifts to his scheduler, who is also his distant cousin. All right, a video included in the ethics complaint reportedly showed Cawthorne with his scheduler in a car speaking about suggestive topics in an exaggerated accent, and his scheduler reaching into Cawthorne's crotch. Now, I told you his scheduler was his distant cousin. I have also said on this show that these white racists in America, their big problem is that they're stupid, because they cannot think anything through. And that is because they're so interested in being only with white people that they inbreed, and they've done it for hundreds of years, and now they've bred themselves into stupidity and the inability to think. All right, back to Madison Cawthorne, the 26-year-old first-term congressman who fortunately we have gotten rid of, because on May 17th, he lost his bid for re-election. Thank goodness, okay? Good to be rid of him and his long string of scandals. All right, let's move on. From Washington, D.C., Attorney General Carl Racine is suing Mark Zuckerberg. Racine says the Facebook co-founder misled the public about the company's handling of privacy and personal data. All right, it's all in connection with Cambridge Analytica. That's the company that helped Donald Trump in his 2016 presidential campaign. Well, in 2018, Facebook said that this is what Facebook itself said, that Cambridge Analytica may have had data from as many as 87 million Facebook users. That is disgraceful. And thankfully, Racine is trying to hold Zuckerberg personally liable, and I hope he's successful. All right, then the Trump administration strikes again against the elderly and the poor. And of course, this is a policy from the former Trump administration that was being uncovered now, trying to destroy the little money the poor and the elderly have. It involves Social Security and money that people wrongfully receive for whatever reason. People were given huge fines without taking into account their intent in receiving the money, their financial status, their age, and their level of remorse. Fines as high as hundreds of thousands of dollars were imposed on poor, disabled, and elderly people, many of whom had no hope of ever paying the money back. So what's the point? The cruelty is the point. Remember, you're dealing with the Trump people. Social Security employees who questioned the exorbitant fines, guess what happened to them? They were either fired, okay, or they were put on leave, or they were threatened with a demotion. All right. In one case, a worker says she was directed in early 2019 to issue a penalty of $176,000 to a woman who had already paid and written a check for $26,000 to repay the government for money that she wrongfully received. All right, the cruelty is the point. And it may sound bleak, folks, but we are getting these people out. We are getting to the bottom of this, and we will shift America back to where it should be. Stay with me, though. I've got more for you in your quest for longevity and survival and success, and for being informed about what's going on out here. I've got Ask Dr. K, Crypto Convos, the International Report, the Slay Word, my commentary that you've already heard that, and missing. Stay with me. I'm free Slay Word. That's right, folks. We level up that vocab every week on Impact News. And the Slay Word this week is contumacious. C-O-N-T-U-M-A-C-I-O-U-S. Contumacious. That is an adjective. That means it describes or modifies that noun. Its origin is in 1583, folks. That's the late 16th century from the Latin. The definition is rebellious. Stubbornly or willfully disobedient to authority. Let's use it in a sentence. I think the Trump family is beginning to find out that at least some of their contumacious and apparently illegal, conduct will not be tolerated. Also, we'll see how contumacious Alan Weisselberg is now that he is expected to be charged with a felony. Let's see if he testifies against Trump or decides to go to jail for him. Frankly, I don't care which one it is, all right, as long as something happens to him. Contumacious, that is your Slay Word of the week. It means rebellious, stubbornly or willfully disobedient to authority. Use it all week and level up that vocab. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Stay with me.
I'm Otha Smith, CEO and founder of Tetragram, a mobile app for cannabis consumers to keep track of the products they purchase, rate the effectiveness of that product, and then share those personal reviews with others. I'm here today at Marion Main Dispensary in Capitol Heights, Maryland, owned and operated by my homegirl, Hope Wiseman. Please download the Tetragram app today and take control of your personal journey with cannabis.
Where are you? 27-year-old Raja McQueen was last seen in her vehicle at a Cleveland, Ohio gas station in June of 2021. She was reportedly in the passenger seat of her 2018 silver Nissan Sentra. Raja is the mother of two sons. Raja McQueen is 5'7" tall, weighs about 135 pounds, has black or dark brown hair and brown eyes. Her car's license plate number is JGH3953. That is the license plate number for her silver Nissan Sentra. That plate again, JGH3953. Crime Stoppers is offering a $5,000 reward. Call Cleveland Police at 216-623-5418. That number again, 216-623-5418, if you have any information about Raja McQueen's disappearance. Where are you? Know that we're looking for you. Know that we have the community's help, and we will find you. We're back at you with the International Report, and we're here with Dr. Inyang Ebong-Harsha. Hey, Eni, how are you?
I'm fine, Carol. How are you?
Well, I'm good. Just hoping that the world is not as crazy as we think it is it?
Well, my story today is not a great one. We're spending excessive amounts on arming ourselves. I have a report from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute that was published, and it's saying that the world military spending tops 2 trillion for the first time in 7 years. They've been recording this expenditure, and the first time in 7 years it's topped 2 trillion. And it's reached the 2 trillion mark. And who are the offenders? The United States, China, India, Russia, the United Kingdom. And together, these 5 powers account for 62% of the global expenditure, according to this new data that's been published. Russia, of course, we know they invaded Ukraine, and their spending has just gone up by 2.9% to the 3rd year of consecutive growth, and it's now 65.9 billion. And on we go. The countries in Europe, in NATO, they are increasing their weaponry. And you know, the United States outstripped any other nation with 801 billion. It actually went down somewhat, but still it outstrips everybody else. China, the world's second largest military spender, at an estimated 293 billion, boosted its expenditure by 4.7% for the 27th straight year in a row. And so you see, these countries are just increasing and increasing and increasing. And you know, Carol, with this much military hardware in the arsenal, it has to be used. That's all I'm going to say. It has to be used.
And therein lies the thing. It has to be used. So war. It's just really, really unfortunate. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Inyang Ebong-Hershuk, with your international report. And we'll see you next week. I'm Carol Angela Davis. We're back with your crypto convo to let you know what's going on in the blockchain world. Lionel the Builder Sap joins you every week and keeps you updated. Hi, Lionel.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. What's going on out there in the blockchain, crazy blockchain world?
Yep. So it's been very exciting for those who are buying. And this week we are still going sideways. Bitcoin is still 29,000, which is more than half from its all-time high. So honestly, from my perspective and from what I'm doing, this is exactly what I needed to happen, because I was planning on using this year to accumulate. Knowing that Bitcoin is going to go back up to 65,000 eventually, just historically, it always returns to the previous all-time high. I'm using this time to buy things that I'm looking at as on sale right now. Things like Algorand, Solana's down to $50, I believe. Ethereum's 1900, which is awesome. You know, Ethereum's one of the most important solutions in the crypto space, and that's half off right now. So that's what I'm doing. That's what the people who believe in crypto long term are doing, is we're using this time to accumulate. And word on the street is that it may be this way for a while. So those who do the charting and all of the Fibonacci sequences that they apply to those things are saying that we're looking at a pump around 2025, you know, and of course, nobody knows for sure, but that's just if it does duplicate the last previous bear market cycle. And this is honestly looking like we have entered bear territory, which is when things are down. And I think that there's a lot of different things that are affecting the market, between the inflation, the gas prices and all of that too. But we'll talk more about that next week.
And real quick, in like 10 seconds or less, Lionel, is crypto going away?
No, it is not. Quite the opposite. You're seeing more and more confirmation that crypto is here to stay from those bigger companies up there.
All right. Thank you so much. That's your crypto convo with Lionel the Builder Sap. We thank you, Lionel. We'll see you next week, and you'll keep us updated. And I'd like to know more about how crypto can't go away. We know it can't go away, but why can't it go away? Because a lot of people have invested a lot of money, and there's a lot of negative talk about it in the more conservative, shall we say, banking circles. But we'll tackle that another time. Right. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Thank you, Lionel. See you next week.
Thank you.
Oh, we're closing out the show as we always do with YOU in mind, and Dr. K is with us as she always is with your longevity in mind. Welcome, Dr. K.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. You know, Carol, I had to spend a little bit of time on the baby food issue, or should I say the infant formula issue, and not so much the issue itself, but what it illustrates. We have the FDA, and you know, the FDA has really been accused of being corporate heavy, corporate run, special interest run, and evidently a whistleblower in a infant formula factory in Michigan sent a message to the FDA about what was going on in the factory. Well, it's come to light that the whistleblower complaint never made it to the food safety operation of the FDA, and therefore finally, when the FDA got it, it shut the plant down. It shut the plant down and then put infant formula in the United States of America in disarray. Well, what I want to say is understand that we really, really, really are in charge of our health. We're in charge of what we bring into our body, the safety of it, the efficacy of it. We are in charge. So we've boiled down to one plant supplying most of our infant formula needs, And that plant really not doing its job on behalf of our children. So people, let's talk about how do we feed our children other than relying on one source? What are options? Why do we give our children formula, which is really hard to do when you have a new baby, but perhaps leading up to having the baby, it's super important for us to really talk about even what we begin to feed our youngest members of society, as well as what we're feeding ourselves. Where is our food coming from? What are we putting in our bodies? And again, when we stay out of the middle aisles of the supermarket, including the infant formula aisle, we're actually promoting longevity and health. So please keep that in mind as you read articles about infant formula. Is where is it coming from? What am I giving my children? And also, what am I giving myself? Thank you so much. The whole foods plant-based diet is the way to go. And these are examples of whole foods. Food, vegetables, the whole thing, seeds, everything. Thank you very much.
Dr. K, what you got over there? You got some, looks like you got some bananas and some mangoes.
I do. Mangoes, bananas, peaches, and this combination, it's a snack. It can be a major part of a meal, and it really promotes our health, our wellness, our longevity. It's anti-cancer, it's anti-inflammatory, and it's good for us. And this is the kind of snacking we should be doing.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thanks
Dr.
for having me.
And but your kitchen is fabulous, Dr. K. I can tell why you're so healthy. You must be doing a whole lot of cooking over there, or at least eating whole foods. So thank you, and we'll see you next week. I'm Carol Angela Davis. This has been Ask Dr. K. You know she's with you every week with your longevity in mind, and from all of us here at Impact News, we wish you a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, Dr. K.
Thanks for having me.